from an operational standpoint. And we're also a built-in advertising agency for traditional media, radio, TV, OTT, and partner with great companies like Relentless to build the program out and make sure marketing is effective and efficient. And
Yes. What?
apologize for the heartfelt, warm story. I didn't know everyone was in here. I thought it was just you and I in the beginning. Everyone got to hear.
That's okay. Next time we'll do a warning. But so you guys have a lot of conversations with contractors like we do. Are there 2 to 3 big topics you see coming up a lot that people are asking about, wanting to know more information on, that we can kind of kick this thing off and start with? What are the biggest either problems or the biggest things that people are really trying to solve as we head towards 2026?
So most people are trying to solve leads. How do I get more leads? My marketing's not working, right? Or they feel it's not working. But what most contractors don't understand, right, is only 30% of your leads come from marketing. The other 70% come from CSRs and technicians. Let me dive into that.
Can you
right?
explain that? Yeah, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna dive into that, right? So I send a tech to your house, Josh, and let's say your AC is not working. Technician gets there and we find out we have a blown blower fan. And that tech is very educational and thorough. He's not selling, but he's being educational and thorough and says, "Hey, Josh, we have 1 or 2 options. You can pay the $700 to $900 to fix your blower fan, or truthfully, you need a whole new unit. You got about 6 months of life shelf left, and this unit's going to go, right?" And you, as the consumer, turns around and says, "Okay, let's just do a whole new unit. Sounds great." That goes through the CRM back to the office, and we have a new unit coming to your house. Where did the new unit lead come from? Was it marketing or was it the technician? And the answer is that lead came from the tech. It didn't come from the marketing. It's the same thing when our CSRs are dialing out, right? Our CSRs are pounding the fall, setting appointments. Those leads aren't coming from marketing. They're coming from your CSRs. But what everybody wants to do is what's my ROAS? What's my ROAS on marketing? And they're trying to jump in this huge umbrella to grasp everything in and say marketing is driving. Marketing is supposed to drive 30% new customers year over year. So if I get a 30% growth in new customers year over year, my company is crushing it. We're doing great. But they don't look at it from that perspective. They look at it like everything needs to come from marketing, and it's just not true.
It's a great point. It reminds me of the first company that I was working at in the trades, Iron Fireman, back in 2013 to 2016. We had paper tickets at that point. Service type was just getting born. And I think we had ESC, which is like the DOS space. I got to press the keyboards, the keys on the keyboard, which nobody knew how to actually operate. So I only knew a couple of the keys and I didn't know how to run reports and anything else. But we would get these paper tickets back and there would be like system estimates on it. We had no follow-up system. Nobody outbounded. Nobody did anything. It was just like, hey, we left an estimate and then we left. And then they could go. And essentially what happened is very few of those people ever called us back on those replacements because we didn't have an outbound system to reach back out to those people. And I realized how many hundreds of thousands of dollars we probably left because we never followed up. We never nurtured those customers. We never touched base with them and see if they had any questions on the estimate. Even the technician's notes weren't very great because it would just be like, yep, system's old. This was wrong. Here's the replacement option. And they didn't even give a repair. They didn't even give a repair option because we weren't that sophisticated at that company. But one of the best companies that I worked at was the third one, where we had a full tech turnover process and we found our own opportunities, like you were saying. So our Google Business Profile, our Facebook groups, all the things that we were doing got us in the door for tune-ups, for repairs, things like that. But our techs were the ones, and then myself on the phone and nurturing with email and everything else that I was doing in the office really set the stage for a lot more opportunity. Because like when we change of seasons, when it's like 60 degrees in Wisconsin in the fall and nobody really needs you for heat, nobody really needs you for air conditioning, we had to create demand. And at that time we did it through email. because email was the best channel for it, because text messaging wasn't used like it is today. And you think of just how much, every time we do these, we call them database reactivation campaigns. It is crazy how many people, if you just ask them if they want something and you give them a little bit of a nudge to do so, they raise their hand and say, oh yeah, I want that. And it's just, all we gotta do is ask, but we don't have systems to ask. So we wait for the phone to ring, or we wait for someone to reach out to us, and hopefully they need a new system, instead of working on the internal processes to make sure that we guide them in a non-sleazy way towards an outcome that we would like to have happen. So it's a great point. What other things are, you talk about leads, and, this year, let's set the stage too. This was the hardest year post-COVID, I think, across the board. Now, some people still grew, a lot didn't. Manufacturers were down 25 to 30% in boxes shipped. So if they're down, typically everyone else is down, at least from number of units sold, number of jobs and stuff. Now, it's not always the case in every market. Like if you're in Phoenix, you'd have no idea the economy's slow anywhere. There's new buildings coming up everywhere I turn.
Right.
Some markets are not that way, and they receded. They had some recession this year, and nobody's moving. The housing market's really, really stale. Interest rates have started to come down, but they've been higher. Tariffs have been on and off. We have had price increases from new equipment and new refrigerant, and all these things have just combined to put us in a bind when it comes to the trades. Like, it's just not as fruitful as it was a year, 2, 3 years ago, when people were like, they're saying yes to everything. Financing rates it was super easy to get someone approved. So what other things are you seeing as people are really maybe either having to tighten the belt a little bit or really dig deep, that would be really relevant for the group here today?
So a lot of people are relying on their current customer base, right? They're pulling back on marketing because they're not thinking it's working, right? And when I say pulling back, like throughout the year they've spent, right? And then going into Q4, they start to pull back. So they're like, I'm not the number I wanted to be at. I got to cut expenses back, right? When realistically, and they start dialing the phones more. The CSRs get more engaged. They're contacting their members. They're, trying to pull every lever they can to hit the revenue goal. But at the end of the day, right, if we're inspecting what we're expecting throughout the year, we shouldn't have to do that, right? We should always pull levers in the off season because we know it's more difficult and more tough, right? But we have to hold everything accountable, right? So, for instance, I had one client who called in and said, hey, we got an issue. Can you please help us? Marketing's not working. I think it's due to the economy and people aren't spending. When I pull up CRMs and we start diving through, his booking rate was at a 43%. His text conversion rates are at 50%. So realistically, it's just like you said it. Are we asking? When we pick up the phone and call customers, are we asking?
So think about that really quick. He mentioned a couple rates. So let's say for every 100 qualified people that called you, only 43% were getting booked. So 43 out of 100. Yep. And they were selling to 50%. So out of 100 qualified leads that they probably most likely paid for, 22 became
22
paying customers.
Paying customers. Correct.
I bring that up because the trades in general and home service businesses are so unique because there are so many drop-off points in the journey where people will go out of your funnel and they'll just stop, or they get busy, they cancel the job. And that's not even talking about job cancellations, right? Because we all know that there's a certain percentage of jobs that, it fixed itself, or I got busy, or I had an appointment, I can't make the meeting. And we never reach back out to that customer. They end up finding someone else and we never hear from them again. So 22 out of 100 qualified leads that were paid for. And if the average cost per lead is $100, $200, you guys can probably start easily doing the math and understanding just how expensive that customer acquisition cost got just by not doing these very, I don't want to call them easy things because they're not easy. Training your team, up-leveling their skills, it's not easy, but simple things to understand can really drive a massive benefit. Sorry, Scott, I'll let you continue with your story.
You're exactly right, right? So it's so easy to point fingers at marketing, right? Because we see it's the biggest expense, right? And we're not seeing that immediate return without looking like operationally to understanding of what's going on. And like one of Josh Kelly's favorite things to say is like, you think you're not getting the calls, but I promise you someone down the street is. So when we want to point fingers at, hey, this isn't working, or I'm not getting the revenue, I'm not hitting my goals, instead of looking internally and saying, hey, what's happening? Let's do a system diagnosis through my booking rate, through my conversion rate to understand what's truly happening. Someone down the street's getting calls. They're booking appointments. They're making money. They're thriving. Not saying tariffs didn't play a factor in it or the manufacturers didn't play a factor in it, right? But at the same time, there's ways to get around all of this if we start looking internal first, looking at operations first. Typically, we go from marketing. We look at marketing to see if that's the problem, or if we look at operations. And typically, 8 out of 10 times that we see, they're blaming marketing. When realistically, Service Titan, Field Edge, House Call Pro, they all give us the answers if we just look at them. And another thing I want to bring up too, it's a really good topic because no operator does it. And you do it. I know your team does it. Google Analytics. Understanding our traffic to our site, right? Understanding direct users to our site. New direct users are coming to our site. And what's my conversion rate, right? That's what I have a lot of operators now looking into, right? Because we can all agree, nobody comes to an HVAC, plumbing, and electrical website for giggles. There's nothing appealing about it, right? There's nothing there that's going to fancy me by any means necessary. There's intent there. So if my phone's not ringing, right, but my numbers are looking good and stable, and you follow the trends, what's really happening? And 9 out of 10 times, when you start to look back on the trends, it's A, your offers are wrong in season. You're running the wrong thing, low priced offers just to try to get the phone to ring. But is that really what consumers need? And the answer is typically no. Like a lot of guys this year switched to duct cleaning. People don't understand duct cleaning unless they've had duct cleaning. So realistically, would I run a duct cleaning offer to try to grab a new clientele? The answer to me is no. I would prefer to run an offer where it's enticing to people. For instance,
do you have any examples of things that you've seen that have been enticing for people? Because I know we do a lot of this stuff, and so a lot of times, especially when our clients are selling, some of you guys may have done this already this fall or winter, is we'll get offers and we usually ask the client for an idea of an offer before we kind of tweak it or change it completely. But sometimes the idea of an offer that I've seen from clients is like $50 off any repair. And we're going to go back to any of our client lists. And I know that you laugh there, but this stuff happens a lot. Like some of this stuff is like, okay, we're not segmenting our list. Like, are we blindfolding ourselves, spinning around, trying to hit a bullseye on a dartboard with somebody that needs a repair today or has had a problem and they just, all of a sudden I'm going to get $50 off. I'm going to schedule that today versus services that more people can benefit from, like tune-ups, inspections, water heater flushes. I mean, even one of the things I use, so you mentioned duct cleaning. I did this at professional services. We went from not having duct cleaning at all to, in the first year, I think just in duct cleaning, this doesn't include anything else because we sold a lot of systems from duct cleaning when we pulled the blower and we took pictures of the heat exchanger and all kinds of things that we did. It was such an easy way for us to get in the house. We did duct cleaning or essentially indoor air quality audits or assessments for free. Come in there, we'd talk about stuff, we'd propose stuff. Maybe not the most profitable way to do things, but it turned up as soon as we got into duct cleaning. We would send one of our technicians who was really thorough at doing maintenance and inspections. We'd get a camera in there. We would pull the blower. We'd explain all these different components to the homeowner, see how dirty they are. The system was 18 years old, things like that. It allowed us for other opportunities, which was something that was ended up being very profitable for us. I don't know how many times I got a call like, did a duct clean and we're 2 hours into it. And homeowner's like, let's just replace the system because they saw the cracked heat exchanger and it was coming up on winter and just a bunch of different things. But what offers have you seen with that in mind that have been really helpful and beneficial? Like what kind of things are homeowners saying yes to today that maybe they weren't saying yes to, or they didn't really care about previously?
So I'm gonna give you my knowledge before Clover, and it's quite embarrassing being a 43-year-old male. I was not familiar with duct cleaning before I came to Clover, but I'm the type of house you want to be into. So if you're advertising that to me, I'll never know. This is even crazier. I didn't know your hot water heater needed a flush. So for me not to understand this, and I live in Florida, and if you ask Josh Kelly, that's one of the biggest things in Florida you need to do due to the heat, the cold, the heat, the cold, the heat, the cold, and the coils on the inside is what messes up the hot water heater, right? I didn't know this, none of this type of stuff, right? So to me, if it's me that doesn't know, there's tons of people that don't know because it's things we've never done, right? What's appealing to me is this, and I'll ask you the question. If I run a $39 duct clean to get in your house, or I run buy an AC unit, get a free furnace. The furnace costs us $700, $900 wholesale. We're still charging for labor. So we're getting in the house. They think they're getting a $5,000 furnace free and clear, which they are, right? But we're buying wholesale. Our margins are big enough where we're still making profit and we're in the home. Another thing we do is hot water heaters and free units. Also, it's the way we market and advertise, right? So at the same time as instead of running an AC install, just get $500 off an AC install. That's not appeasing to me, right? Because in my mind, they're thousands and thousands of dollars. But what does work, because I've done them in Phoenix, in Tucson, in Boston, so they work across the country, new AC units as little as $2 to $3 a day. Or in some markets, they're $3 to $5 a day. And they're like, there's no way that's possible because no one ever stops to calculate how many days are in the month. They just hear the offer and they're like, no way. That sounds too cheap. I got to call. And they call and the phone starts ringing, right? Flip side, on the plumbing side, drain clearing is great, right? For the plumbers, a little bit different, right? But drain clearing is great on the plumbers because once they get into the house, how many other drains do you have in the house? On average, there's about 15. So then they can go $39 to all 15. What else do you have? How's your hot water heater doing? This is where they don't go from selling, right? Because we don't want them to sell. If they're educational and thorough, it'll sell itself. And as long as they treat every house as they walk in like this, their grandmother's or their mother's house, there's no problem at all. Because the main thing techs hate doing is selling, right? So the offer of $39 to get you in the house, and then once they're in, as long as they're being educational and thorough, it's not a problem. And those offers have worked for us across the country from using TV, radio, and OTT.
Yeah, and I want to go back to like what he said about the duct clean offer, because like if your homeowners are like Scott and they don't know what the benefits of duct cleaning are, it doesn't matter if it's free. They're gonna be like, I just know, like they're not gonna invite you in their home if they don't think it's a valuable thing, regardless of what the thing is. You might know it's the most valuable. And this is also where, as far as we talked a lot about fixing the marketing funnel as far as like content and getting people aware of these problems in their home. These are where really good strategies of, because I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what type of content to create. Your CSRs, your technicians, your dispatchers, your salespeople, they have the gold mine of questions that people ask. We did an exercise where Nadine and our entire marketing team, Grace, who's on the call, and even our salesperson, Dawn, we're reading Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan. And every week we're going through and what can we focus on? And a lot of it's on content. Like what type of content do people need to see? Because some content is educational and it's way before they're ever going to need you. Some content is during the sales cycle. So videos that would play really nicely depending on where someone's at in their journey. Maybe their system's 10 years old or more. The type of content those people should see is different than the people that have a 1-year-old system and they just replaced it last year. And knowing where your customers are in their journey can really play a big part is whether your content actually works or not. Because if you put out the same content for the person that's got a 1-year-old system and a 15-year-old system, one of them's not, it's not going to be relevant to them. and being just really segmenting your customers, because all your customers are at different stages. I mean, some people, you probably have 30-year-old systems in your database, and some you'd literally replace yesterday. And picking that apart as to what do they need or what services could benefit them, and educating them on what those things could do can be really valuable. But if you throw a free duct cleaning offer and they don't care about duct cleaning, and they don't, like, I don't know, my ducts aren't dirty, I don't have any problem, I don't have any allergy problems, it doesn't matter. I want to ask you, because I know when I see the free furnace with AC or free AC with furnace offer, it always
Mhm.
comes with a lot of fun comments in the comment section of those ads.
Mhm.
How do you guys make sure that, let's say you guys are consulting with someone, and you guys decide with your client that this is a good offer to run, that they are priced appropriately and they don't back themselves into a corner and have some just unhappy customers somehow just not understanding
Correct.
the special or offer?
So it's the operator's job to price it correctly, right? To reach out to figure out what the bottom line is going to cost. We do explain to the client, right? Hey, labor is involved. You got to pay labor, right? But what's funny is this in some of those comments, and not all operators do this, but I got a guy out of Boston. I think you know him. He ran this offer. The first month he did it, it was $171,000 in gross profit. The second month was $140,000 in gross profit. The third month, it teetered down, don't get me wrong, because he's got diminishing returns, was like 70 grand. People would say, drop in the comments, especially on his Facebook when he was doing this, right? And they would, start talking smack and want to be funny about it. And he's like, what, are you scared to call and see if the offer's true or not? And he'd start challenging people. And it was hilarious, like absolutely hilarious. And one of the biggest challenges he had was from a guy who had a massive house. And the guy like writes this huge, I wish I had it. I had a screenshot of it at one time. Writes this huge post about, I got 3 AC units and I got this and I got that. I'd put you out of business if you replace my house. And he writes back, my phone's not ringing with your phone number yet. And the guy literally called him 30 minutes later. And he got the whole job, replaced 3 systems, and he literally had replaced a furnace and a hot water heater. Now, how he worked that out, right? And it's always on the operator how they're going to work it out in the back end. But since he had 3 systems in the house, one system came with a furnace, one system came with a hot water heater, and the other system was just a BOGO, right? So it just goes on the operator how they want to price it out. When it comes to Clover, like we give their strategies and ideas, but we deal with clients nationwide. So it's hard to understand what pricing's where. So we try to stay out of the pricing. We can guide once they give us the guidelines of their pricing. Is it a 3-ton? Is it a 4-ton they're doing? Or are we just doing 3 tons on this offer and we're not doing anything bigger than 3 tons based off of, the cost of the expense of it. So everything's priced out and we can look at it in the end, but yeah, it's on the operators to figure out all the back end logistics to it.
For offers like that, what channels have you seen that really do well with that? And I'm sure some of that depends, but I'm just wondering if there's anything specifically, obviously reaching out to your existing customers, maybe with old systems is a low hanging fruit, but what other channels that have you seen that like you getting some really good results from?
Facebook is killer. We haven't done it on radio. Now we do $3 to $4 a day on radio and it works very well, but we typically do it on TV.
Okay.
Because TV,
like connected TV?
Well, we do connected TV and we do the news, right? So we actually buy TV stations within Clover because the demographic for the news outlets is typically skews a lot older. So we weed out the fluff of the comments, right? And typically it's the older generation that's like, really? I can save $5,000? I got to call. And they call. But Facebook absolutely dominates because we all know in Facebook, you got like 3 seconds to make an impression, right? As the ads, because you got to stop their behavior. Typical person is just scrolling. You need something to stop their behavior. And typically that does. And Facebook works like a charm. Then as soon as you get one deal done, which typically happens on Facebook, they go and respond to them. Thanks for setting your appointment, Josh. It's been a pleasure. We'll be there tomorrow. Everyone else starts to think, oh, these guys are really setting appointments on this.
So you're saying as far as part of that strategy is you have someone on the ad or on the post, or I mean, I'm assuming these are ads. Maybe you can do some organic posts. They're just not going to quite get the reach, but
they're ads.
You're having them comment publicly what they're doing. Hey, book your appointment. See you tomorrow.
Correct.
Things like that. So one, it increases the engagement because there's more comments. And then they may comment back, thank you, I'll see you tomorrow, excited, whatever. And then you're also, other people are seeing that it's legit and real people are actually booking appointments.
Correct. And this is what I always tell people, right? And I don't mean this in a weird way, but people who scam people hide in the shadows. But if I'm responding to comments on Facebook, I'm not hiding in the shadows. Thank you for booking your appointment. I'll see you tomorrow. Which means it's actually legitimate. Like these are true conversations that are being had. Because what's a typical person do when they think stuff's too good to be true? They check out to see if the profile is real or fake. That's the first thing they do. Then they start to realize, oh, this is real. A, I want in on this because I need it. Or B, oh, I thought this was a scam. I don't need it, but that's a good company to go to when I do need it.
Yeah, and when I think of ads, because I'll especially if something I'm interested in, I'll look at the comments, and if there's questions, or like especially people are leaving questions that are legit questions that and nobody's answering those, nobody's commenting from the company. I always find that a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
The companies I like doing business with are like, they answer all the questions publicly. They're not hiding, even if someone challenges them, they're not hiding from it publicly. And so really good tips there, especially if any of you guys are thinking about running some sort of social media ads as far as being visible. The thing I would make sure that go into it knowing that you're going to face negative feedback. It's just the world we live in. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there. It's okay. I don't, because I know sometimes like our business is our baby. How dare anyone say any, like we get this, it's like getting a 1-star review.
Mm-hmm.
Literally ruins your week. Like you're like, it bothers you so much that.
But you're right. But if you get a 1-star review, you let it ruin your week, or you get a 1-star review and you respond with facts, your week's no longer ruined.
I hand any bad reviews to Brittany. Brittany takes care of those.
but you see what I'm saying though, right? As long as we're responding and we're justifying, wait a minute, Josh, I'm sorry you had a 1-star review. I'm sorry you had that experience. But what you're saying is not totally accurate what happened. Here's what happened, right? You're justifying yourself to the public. You're not hiding in the shadows, just leaving Josh's 1-star review up there. Now, it'd still be a bad week because it's going to mess with your Google ratings, right? But at the end of the day, it's a lot off your chest knowing you got out what you need to get out so consumers know, hey, these people respond. They took clarity notes. Like you can read the company's notes versus the consumer's notes and tell what's legitimate and what's not legitimate here. And we all go through it.
Yeah, and that sort of stuff builds trust. And
Yep.
Trust in the AI, we'll call it the AI economy, is the thing that is going to separate companies. It's going to separate entire, who do we know we can trust? Because if you're putting AI stuff out all the time and you don't know if it's a person or not, like some of you guys may even use AI voice, and there's nothing wrong with that technology. It's just, I literally, who was it yesterday? It was a different marketing company. I was listening to this guy I respect. He was listening to customers' calls, and during the recording, the homeowner said, "I'm talking to a fucking robot right now."
Yep.
So it's just odd, and that's side story, but this is what the homeowners are, your customers are thinking about, whether they say it or not. So it's just things you guys all got to keep an eye on, and I know it's a lot to keep an eye on, but we had a.
But at the same time, and I didn't mean to cut you off, it's what the world is coming to. It's not just our industry. Everyone's going to AI. If you're not in AI, you're going to be behind the game. And just to like give you quick tips, well, not tips because you already probably know, but for everyone who's listening and watching, Google is coming out with AI phone calls, checking prices and availability now. Now, you talk about make things difficult. I don't know how long this is going to last for, but it's going to be difficult to a lot of contractors. For the fact being is we're now going to be taking a lot of robotic calls, calling us, asking us our availability, and asking us our prices. So AI is here to stay. It's how much and how in depth it's going to continue to go. I think it's going to go very in depth.
The best way for us to make sure Google's costs go way up on that as contractors just test the crap out of this thing, run their costs way up, and they're like, yeah, this isn't profitable enough for me, so I'm going to drop it. Because I did test this. I had a plumbing company in Peoria ask me. It's been a client for a few years, and I knew it was out, but I haven't seen it. It hasn't been like super prevalent. And then I started testing it, so I went to my personal email. I did the whole form thing of what service I wanted and everything else, gave my contact details. And literally within like 15 minutes, I had an email report back from the businesses that answered and how they answered the pricing question. And of course, almost every answer was we have to get on site. So there's an opportunity for you to differentiate your answer, because at the end of the day, this report is coming back and they're calling 5 to 7 companies. The homeowner's not calling anymore, at least the people that use this. Now, again, knowing even just my own family members who know I'm in digital marketing and I talk about this stuff all the time on my personal profile, they still don't know what the hell ChatGPT is. And I've had to tell them recently, and they're like, they still can't even say it. They're like ChatGPT. And so there's a lot of people that don't know what this is yet. So don't think everybody knows it. I know in our world, it's all we talk about it all the time, and all the Facebook groups and all the best, everyone's talking about it. But our homeowners they're not in the same space we're in. So they might not know exactly what it does. And there might be some super savvy people. Like if you're in San Francisco, it's probably a lot of really savvy homeowners there that know how to use these tools. But it's just figuring. I know Jason, actually, I think you shared in the comments on Tuesday's webinar, like something that worked really well for you guys is pricing transparency. You guys shifted that to this year. And I know we've tried working on just some content pieces and some other things. And there's some stuff that we're trying to do internally too, to figure out how we can get answers from contractors in turn to put that into content. Because we never want to put your pricing information online without what you are comfortable sharing, because otherwise we're going to back your team into a corner and you're not going to love us very much. But this is all stuff that is, even on a marketing company side, we're trying to figure out how we can scale a process in order to do this, where we don't get bogged down if you guys are busy in the summer and you don't answer us for 4 weeks on the questions we need answers to. How can we still put out content that's valuable? Because the pricing transparency thing, it is so easy for homeowners to find this information now. Just go ask ChatGPT and go look at the sources. The sources are going to be like bestprosintown.com, airconditioningup.com. Like if you ever heard of that site, I'd probably send you a gift card, because I've never heard of it. And I do a lot of research on this stuff. A lot of sites that they're relevant again. Directories and citations were like a dying thing, because everybody used a Yext or a Sochi or some of these other platforms that like updated all their listings. Well, now there's a bunch of listings that are relevant with AI search that are not in any of those networks. And they're all different by market. The ones that Jason and Zach, you guys have, versus Carlo versus Angel or Laura, it's all different. All kinds of different sites and sources, but the information is almost always wrong on those blogs.
It is.
They're just putting it out there so they can get their site. They're creating what's known as topical authority about a topic, so they can rank their site and they can get more traffic to their site. They don't care if the price is right, and they have no idea what it costs to run a home service business usually. So it's just things that you guys think about next, as far as we're looking at next year, is figuring out how to be more transparent with pricing without saying our 60,000 BTU 2-ton variable speed, blah, 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 is $10,000.
But that's going to be the problem, because I was having the same exact conversation with one of our clients who's a $50 million client, do $50 million in revenue a year. Our industry is becoming the car industry with AI. Everything isn't be so they're trying to make it so transparent online, but the problem is it's not apples to apples. Every system's different. Everything we have is different, right?
Every home is different. Some might have a crawl space, some might have a wide open attic, and that's a super easy swap out versus I got to be on my back all day underneath a home trying to take out an install system. So there is definitely a lot of unique things that can cause a difference in price. But those questions can be answered in your content. Why does a system cost more? Why does it cost less? what factors into those sorts of things based on your market and the homes that you guys see. Those are all questions I bet you if I asked you directly, you would be like, yeah, I can answer that.
Absolutely.
And then you can give a range. And honestly, a lot of that stuff, I've shared this a lot. Scott, you've probably seen this since you guys do a lot of consulting and we talked about booking rates. Homeowners asking for price on the call is the number one objection and reason calls don't get booked. And the answer is because we don't give any pricing information. And a homeowner doesn't know what else to ask. And I get it. Some of you guys maybe even told me to use the word tire kickers. I hate the word tire kickers because if they called you asking for a price on something, unless they're a competitor just doing some mystery shopping, they need service. So yes, they're looking for pricing, but they don't know what else to ask. That's why they default to price. They think the cheapest price is the best because you guys are all the same. And that's why they ask, well, how much is it going to cost? And that's where, as an industry, I'd love to see where we focus a lot of effort into how do we answer those things differently. So we make them realize price is important, but it is not the sole factor of why you should hire my company or a competitor.
Yeah, and it's how we answer that question, right? So if I say, hey, sorry, we don't get prices over the phone, I came off, not aggressive, but assertive. I'm not giving you a price. But instead of saying, hey, I'd love to answer that question for you, but unfortunately, every home is built different. And here's why. We just need to be able to come out there, diagnose the problem, see exactly what's wrong with it, and we will give you a fair, honest quote as soon as we're done with the problem. That's why we don't charge trip charges. We charge diagnostic fees, and we waive them if we do the work. It's how we respond to the customer versus saying we're not giving a price over the phone.
Most of the time when I listen to those calls or I read the transcripts of those calls, homeowner calls in, asks for a price to come out. Person on the phone says it's going to be $79 to come out, and then they stop talking. And the homeowner says, okay, I'm going to call around a couple other companies. I'll call you back. And of course, they never call back. There's no value added to that conversation. It's just, oh, this is the price. So I'm going to go to the next guy and see if I can get it for $69 or $59 or $49 or if I can get it for free, because that's all they know how to do at that point. They have no idea that we have to send licensed and skilled technicians. We've been in business for 30 years. Our team has a rolling warehouse that comes to your door and has $70,000 of material on it to fix it same day in most cases. They don't know those things. They just assume that, well, I'm just going to try to get someone out here cheap to diagnose it, and then I'll figure out what to do next. And they don't understand what that looks like. And that's the point. I need to try to figure out how to, like, Marcus Sheridan. If some of you guys I know have heard of him and have asked me questions about him. He says it so eloquently when he talks about price online, and he says it, and it's like, that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely don't say it as eloquently, and everyone like, okay, yeah, this is another marketing guy talking about price. But it's so true. And in these, with conversational search, we had Scott, do you know Darren Shaw? Local search? Okay. You're not, it's more of a local search. I'm local search nerd out here. He's one of the guys that I followed before I started Relentless. He's one of several people that I follow that had a lot of YouTube videos, webinars, ebooks, et cetera, that I learned how to do local search from. I had him on the podcast yesterday, and he was talking about, because he does a lot of research and he talks to some really, really smart people with a lot of data on the search side of who's going to win the search wars. Because I think everyone thinks it's going to be ChatGPT. And he gives some really compelling arguments of why that's not going to be the case. I won't spoil it for anyone, but go listen to that if you guys are like listening to Service Business Mastery and Tersh and I. But local search for most companies right now, like, there's been a lot of studies. Searchlight puts out a lot of great numbers. I think their last data set was October 2025. And they said out of 1,000 company sample, which Searchlight works with some of the bigger companies in the space on these dashboards, 0.33% of all revenue opportunity was from AI search. Mm-hmm. So, and I preface that because I know that there are some marketing companies out there that are barking up the AI search tree, and you gotta get an AI search enabled website, blah, blah, blah. You're looking at literally less than 1% of revenue opportunity across a huge client set to do something like that. So like maybe it is coming, maybe by 2028, 2030, it's a thing. Like we all got to be AI enabled and everything else, but you can build a really good website, have a really great brand, will focus on your reputation and rank an AI search without any additional work. Like I've seen it happen over and over again. Like our company ranks for AI search terms for best HVAC marketing company. We just did SEO. I didn't do anything special for that. And it's one of those things I want to make sure you guys focus. Like these are topics everyone's thinking about, talking about, asking questions about. And the data says that it's not there yet. And so if you guys completely switch your marketing budget to something that in hopes of getting a little bit more of a piece of the pie of AI search, I think you're going to end up 2026. You're not going to be very happy.
Yeah. And to get into the AI, you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's like $1,000 and they'll rank you within the top five people that are mentioned in AI. And I think you're right. For now, Google's going to hold the threshold. But
Well, the thing is,
20
Google's search volume is still growing. I think that's the correlation a lot, because I think the way we all think of something, if something's growing and it's a competitor, the other one's dying. They're both growing. And if we think about it, like I think about how I use ChatGPT, that's my assistant. I ask it to help me with webinars, slide decks, keynote presentations, breakouts, content ideas, emails. Like I very rarely use it to like personal search, because I shared this story a couple times this week, but I had a different marketing agency. They were at an event, I think it was Service World Expo or something. They were searching for local restaurants in Vegas. 2 out of the 3 options on ChatGPT, the businesses no longer existed because the data set that it learned from was old. It's not up to date. They don't have Google's local search ecosystem with the Google business profiles and people updating those all the time, open hours, holiday hours, reviews. So there's like ChatGPT's got a long way to go to compete with that. And who trusts BBB reviews these days? Like they pulled from like BBB, TripAdvisor, I've seen, Facebook. People they have Google reviews. That's what people are. I mean, the last 25 years, we've been trained to look at Google reviews. I didn't mean to get off topic on AI search stuff, but I see a lot of questions about it, so I talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's coming. It's just when and how fast, right? And I don't.
So I actually have a follow. So Scott, I know you guys do a lot on the advising, especially on paid media side. Have you guys gotten into or seen anything? Because I know like Google's AI mode is starting to have ads placed in the AI mode. So as you're having a conversation on Google and the AI mode is coming up, you're able to get placements in there. ChatGPT is probably going to come out with a model this year for advertising. What are you guys seeing from the AI side when it comes to the advertising side of things?
So we do nothing in the AI side for advertising at all.
Okay.
We
I don't know if it's
plan
completely rolled out to so many markets where it's even like a feasible thing. I don't know if they're still using like the same Google search ads and they're just taking your targeting and they know where that searcher is and placing an ad based on their conversation. I don't fully know how that works just yet, but I figured I'd ask the question since I know it's starting to come out.
No, like, and Ken Moskowitz might be a better person to have that conversation with, because he's our AI. I call him geek. He absolutely loves it. But for us, it's more of, we know ChatGPT and Cloud and all them are coming out with their own paid platforms for search. And Google is doing their price checking and phone calls. We only stay and we consult on digital because we understand it very well. We just don't do anything in a digital space, even social media. We're more TV, radio, and OTT.
Okay. So you're more awareness.
Yeah, more awareness that makes your digital more effective and efficient. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the big, like I said, the big talking points we talked about in the webinar on Tuesday was making sure that you don't put so many eggs in one basket, which, isn't, as a digital marketing agency that does a lot of these things at the bottom of the funnel, isn't necessarily a self-fulfilling thing. But I did a lot of analysis on our client churn and stuff like that. And I also realized the clients that were spending too much on the bottom of the funnel stuff with us didn't have enough budget for anything else. And that's why the relationships weren't working out. And that's why it's so important for us as a company, because I want clients to stay with us for a long time. I want clients that we can refer off to companies that can spend extra money to build the traditional media stuff at the top of the funnel as well. Because if they don't have enough budget to do those things, you're just relying too heavily on a single or two or three channels. And that's where businesses get in trouble. Like if you guys, most of you guys probably at least have followed some sort of channel that I'm on, we are on every channel all the time with content, with educational pieces, and that we get leads from every source. And we still get leads from SEO too. We still put content on our website every month. We still focus on that stuff. We do a little bit of everything. And I think that's what healthy companies that can thrive in any economy do, is they're everywhere, because you just don't know where consumer behavior is going to shift.
And most contractors don't know when to shift, right? I'm doing digital, when do I start doing branding, right? To complement each other, and how much of that budget to allocate toward a branding campaign that's going to help out their digital spend, right? And from our perspective, it's about $4.5 million yearly in revenue.
For what? Can you say that again?
So for instance, like, so we say as a team, anyone doing $4 million and below should strictly be doing digital marketing, mailers.
Okay, now I follow.
And your grassroots. Once you hit the $4.5 million threshold, is where then at that point you can take 8% of your budget, put 60% of that 8% into digital spend and 40% into branding, which is going to complement each other very well.
I love that. Yeah. And we've actually been revamping programs for new clients moving forward to try to align with some of that stuff too. Cause we don't want our services to be like more than 1% to 2% of their revenue. So that way they have still 5% to 6% of their revenue to spend elsewhere.
Yep.
Zach had a question. I know we're running up on the top of the hour. In your opinion, how much focus should be put into pushing for comfort memberships and things of that nature? Is that something that should be a primary focus year round, only in slower seasons, or not a primary focus at all? I think the question
year round. I need 500 memberships for every $1 million in business you do, right? That's the goal. Those are our lever pullers in the off seasons. But what's great about memberships is this, especially right now, I got guys that are actually crushing it. Buy a membership, gift a membership. Ooh, I'm picking up 2 clients for 1. So it's this simple. Josh, thanks for buying the membership. I really appreciate it. Since you bought a membership, we're going to gift one to a loved one, which is funny. Most of the guys are gifting it to their best friends. Most of the women are gifting it to their family, which is absolutely hilarious to me as we're seeing it. But it's this simple. Hey, Josh, what's the name of the person you want to gift it to? Or we're going to gift it to Nadine. Can I have just her name and her phone number, please? We're going to give her a call, show up, and do a quick free inspection to make sure nothing's wrong, to let us know that you gifted her a membership for the holidays. Mind you, I run these all year long.
I love that special, actually.
Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day. Like, we go.
Do you usually base those around the holidays then? Just because do you base those types of offers like that around the holidays just so it doesn't get stale?
I just do it all year.
Okay.
Yeah, I do it all year, but there's a holiday. If you notice, there's a holiday like every 2 months that I can base that promotion off of.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let me ask you a question, because the bottom, I didn't read the bottom of Zach's question, because he mentioned, I know they're not there for profit, but more so to get a tech in someone's door twice a year for brand familiarity and opportunities. Do you guys talk about maintenance agreements or memberships, and what's the difference?
The difference is just based off of what you have in your plan. One's a maintenance agreement that will come out here and expect it. Some of my guys do it twice a year. Some of the guys come out there and do it 4 times a year. Then membership is giving you exclusive rebates off of products and services and everything else. We typically just offer one. Your membership is the maintenance agreement. It's just how you call it or classify it, or what's in the agreement that's making it a membership versus a maintenance agreement. But most of my guys offer one.
The reason I asked that is I've had a lot of conversations with Billy Stevens of Sarah and Billy Go, and formerly Berkey's, really smart guy. Some of you guys probably know who he is. And he was the one that sold Berkey's into the PE group that eventually became the Wrench Group. So he was like one of the first acquisitions that ever happened that became the Wrench Group. So if you're familiar with the Wrench Group, Billy was like one of the first sales that happened there. But he talks about memberships as like a $99 membership, where he does not tie that to a maintenance per se. Now, when they're slow, they will call those people and offer a free maintenance with their membership, but it's not a selling feature. It's like front of line service, discounts on future services. There's a few other things in there, but it's like $99. It's like essentially he uses it kind of as a way to take that money and put it into his marketing efforts. He reinvests it back into marketing because it's usually pretty easy. Anything under $100 is usually a much easier sale than anything over $100. At least that's, I think, his train of thought. That's why I asked the difference between if you have.
It's just based off of what's inside the agreement. And we don't think it's a lot of revenue per se, but I want you to think of it like this, right? The average one that I see is about $24.99 a month, right? Times 12 months. If you're a $5 million company and you're running 500 memberships per $1 million you're doing, roughly you're up there at 2,500 memberships. So technically,
that's $62,000 a month.
Yeah, you're over $500,000 a year. So it is a revenue driver. It's a lever puller to people who have trust and faith in us. So when we call them, they will respond because they are a member of ours, and that's how we can start the conversation as well. So it's a great lever and it's a great tool. And it's like I have a lot of conversations with a bunch of guys that are like, I've been trying to get to $10 million, $10 million, $10 million. And it's the hardest jump from 7 million to 10 million. It truly is. Well, how many memberships you have? 1,000? Well, you realize if you had what you're supposed to have, not saying it's the easiest sell, but if we were pushing it and made it a focus, you'd be a $10 million shop, basically at that point.
It's a lot easier to stay busy in shoulder seasons when you have customers that are already paying for something and you can just go get back in their house. And there's always going to be opportunities there. You start with the oldest systems first, right? If you're slow, start with the oldest systems first. Hopefully you have that information in your database, then work to the next and the next, and work your way down. And then some of those younger systems can be training opportunities for new technicians. You can have an old seasoned tech with a new tech, have them train the whole process. And you can always have a training system too, to cycle your people upwards. So with that in mind, Jason really liked your membership deal, by the way. He put that in the comments and I'm like, oh, I hear a lot of offers and stuff and I'm like, oh, that's not one I've heard too much of. So that's a really great takeaway for me too. Scott, if companies are getting to the point where they want help on the consulting side of their marketing, understanding what's going on, or help with some of the services that you guys offer, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can reach directly out to me at scott@growwithclover.com.
Awesome. Scott, this was great. I actually, normally I would stay on a little longer. I have a meeting with our internal team about our 2026 social media strategy right after this. So Nadine's yelling at me in Slack that I got to go.
It's a pleasure seeing you.
It's her fault. So everyone blame her.
Oh, thanks, Josh. I appreciate that.
Guys, we will get this recording out to you once it fully uploads to the cloud. We'll put it in the Relentless Digital Clients Only Facebook group as well. And we will email it out to you as well. So that way you can always reference back to this conversation. So that way you don't have to remember everything. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If I do not talk to any of you guys before next week, have a fantastic Christmas. I hope it's really great. And you guys get some downtime to relax and restore yourselves for hopefully a very fruitful 2026. We'll see you guys next time.
Absolutely. Thanks, bud.